So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! The Detroit Lions have added over 20 new players to the roster this draft cycle. Of course, the 6 players that were drafted in the dozens of undrafted rookie free agents that are either trying out at rookie minicamp or have signed rookie deals as undrafted rookie free agents. And today, we are going to take a look at just about all of them. We have talked about a good number of them over the last month or so, but today we're going to take a look at not only each and every rookie on the roster, but their likelihood of making the active roster come the 2023 season to put everything into perspective and put into perspective who has the odds of making it and who you should be looking out for in the 2024 preseason. So, with that being said, let's start off with the locks to make the roster, and that is every single player that Brad Holmes has drafted. Yes, over the last 3 years, not a single player of a rookie class has not made the roster for the Detroit Lions. And I know that the roster is more competitive this season than it was the last couple of seasons going into it, but that still doesn't change the fact that Brad Holmes doesn't draft camp bodies. Brad Holmes does not draft a player if he doesn't think that that player can make the roster and have an impact at some point down the road. The closest that the Lions have had to be cutting rookies at the start of the season has been, of course, James Houston, who was the only rookie to be placed on the practice squad to start his rookie year, but by the middle of the season, he was on the active roster, as well as in year one, where Jamar Jefferson made the roster, but has been off and on the practice squad for the majority of his NFL career. Other than that, though, every single rookie has made the roster for the Detroit Lions, and this will actually be the first year in the 4th year of the Brad Holmes era that one of his draft picks is not going to be on the roster to start the season. That, of course, being Chase Lucas, who transitioned to the San Francisco 49ers this offseason for a sizable contract. So the odds that all 6 of the drafted rookies make the roster is pretty high. Obviously, Terrion Arnold, the first-round pick, is going to make it and probably start on the boundary. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. probably won't start day one, but could be a great rotational piece for the Lions down the road. Manu and Vaki are going to play roles at some point. Vaki, a great special teams guy. Manu, a developmental project for day 2 and 3. Mekhi Wingo will be a rotational edge rusher, a rotational pass rusher on the defensive line, while Christian Mahogany is a potential long-term guard starter for a couple of seasons down the road. All of them have futures in Detroit. All of them will likely make the roster, and I think it is going to be another class where Brad Holmes hits 6 for 6 on the roster spots. Now, taking a look at the practice squad likelies. These are players that I think will make the practice squad or potentially have the opportunity to make the active roster, whether it be due to roster openings, whether it be to just the talent that they have and the talent that they bring, or just the fact that I think these are guys that the Lions really like and they want to keep around if at all possible. So my practice squad likelies players that I would say are 75% or more likely to make at least the practice squad include Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver from Illinois, a very, very elusive wide receiver, a great slot option, a potential backup to Amon-Ra St. Brown in the regular season. I have him right around wide receiver 6 right now on the roster, which is right around that fringe to make the active roster or be placed on the practice squad. The Lions gave him a pretty big bonus to come in and try out for the Lions, so I think there's a good chance he makes the roster there. Kingsley Egukan is a player that I think is going to be the starting center a couple of years down the road. Good size, super athletic, and if it wasn't due to his injury in his senior year, probably would have been drafted sometime on day 3 to be a developmental project. He'll allow less pressures than a couple of other high-end draft picks this season, allowed less sacks than both Cedric Van Pran and Zach Frazier in his collegiate career. This is a player that out of the University of Florida could be really, really good for the Detroit Lions, and if not, Who cares? He's an undrafted rookie free agent with a ton of upside. I think will end up making the roster as the backup center in the Evan Brown role. Duke Clemens, I think, will make the practice squad. Again, a player that the Lions gave a bonus to before signing Kingsley Eguakon from undrafted free agency. A player that I think the Lions are going to really like, potentially will play guard or center for the Detroit Lions in the future. I think one of those two will make the active roster and the other one will be stashed on the practice squad. I think Still Chambers is pretty much a singular practice squad guy. I don't see him making the active roster, but I do see him making the practice squad and being called up a number of times to be a special teams contributor. James Turner, the undrafted rookie free agent kicker out of Michigan, I think will either make the roster or be the kicker that the Lions place on the practice squad. Last year, the Lions carried, obviously, Robert Pattinson into the NFL regular season, stashing Michael Badgley on the practice squad. I think they will do a similar thing this year with Michael Badgley and James Turner. One will make the roster winning the kicking job, and one will go to the practice squad just in case that guy that won the job doesn't quite work out. And then I think Maurice Norris potentially makes the roster as well. I think the playing time and the path is to that playing time is going to be there, right? The backup to Brian Branch, the backup slot cornerback, in the absence of CJ Gardner-Johnson, in the absence of Will Harris. The Lions don't have a backup slot right now, and I think Maurice Norris can be that and be a quality backup slot at that. So with that being said, those are my practice squad likelies. I believe there is 6 players on this list. Not all of them will make the active roster. In fact, I think only 1 or 2 of them will, being potentially James Turner and Maurice Norris. I think Kingsley and Williams could, but I think that they are more of a practice squad, stash and develop type of players as well. Practice squad chances. These are guys that I think could make the practice squad, but potentially won't just because of depth issues, just because of, competition at those positions. Isaac Rex is a big-time red zone threat. He is 6'5" with super strong hands and the ability to separate a little bit in zone. I think he could potentially make the practice squad, but again, with Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and a couple of other guys that they already have on the roster, I do think the path to playing time will be really tough. At best, he's tight end 5 behind James Mitchell, Zylstra, Brock Wright, and Sam Laporta. I don't see him making the roster. And I think if they have 4 tight ends, they probably don't need a 5th on the practice squad, as one of those guys will be a practice squad guy already. I think the chances are slim, but if he shows out in the preseason, you never know. Isaac Ukwu, the pass rusher from Ole Miss, I think has a chance, again, with the depth that the Lions have with Hutchinson and Davenport and Kaminsky and Pascal and Houston, Betts from the CFL and a couple of other guys that they've brought in. I think that the path to playing time is going to be really hard for him to get to. But again, you never know. If he shows out in the preseason, a practice squad spot is definitely available. And I think there's a chance that he does. Again, these are kind of the 50-50 guys that I could see making it to the practice squad, but I could also see not making it to the practice squad. Nate Lynn, the pass rusher from William & Mary, going back to that pool of William & Mary, was really good at the level, but played really low levels of competition and really, I don't think is going to be an NFL pass rusher, but obviously the Lions saw something on tape that they liked, so we'll see in the preseason. And then Hogan Hatton, the long snapper, I believe from Idaho, potentially could make the roster. The Lions are looking for kind of that long-term long snapper. They have Scott Daly, who's returning off of an injury, who has been kind of up and down. Not a bad long snapper, but I think could be a little bit more consistent at the position. And then I'm trying to think of the name of who finished the season last year. He was a free agent last year from the Dallas Cowboys, made the Pro Bowl as a long snapper, but his name is escaping me at the moment. I think Hogan Hatton could potentially make it, but if he gets cut, he'll probably sit in the free agent pool for a while. If you want that long-term replacement, if he shows out in the preseason, shows out in camp as a long snapper, could potentially, but again, 50-50 shot. Either he's going to make it or he's not. Long snapper's hard to tell. There's no tape on a long snapper. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. And then we have the camp bodies, right? The guys that probably, unless something miraculous happens, probably won't make the roster, but potentially could as players that either show out really big in the preseason or are guys that just, are able to make an impact and show that they're better than somebody that is presumed to make the roster this season. Now, going down the list as it is on the screen, we have Cade Peterson, the Grand Valley State quarterback, led Grand Valley State to a ton of wins at Division II football. Again, he is brought in for a rookie minicamp tryout, so he's not even officially signed to the roster. He will be a decision after it comes to, rookie minicamp. They'll decide if they want him or not, as is Theo Day from Northern Iowa. I don't think either of these players are going to make it. Obviously, you have Nate Sudfeld as your quarterback 3 right now. You have Hendon Hooker as your quarterback 2 and Jared Goff as your quarterback 1. All 3 of those guys will make it above these two defense of the all 3 of those quarterbacks will make it above those D2 quarterback prospects. You have Michael Herzog, I believe is how you say it, from Hillsdale College. Again, a rookie tryout. You have Jalen Calhoun from Duke, a player that put up about 600 to 700 yards every single year at Duke. I think has a potential to make some plays in the preseason, but I think with the depth, I don't think he's even beating out Isaiah Williams for wide receiver 6, let alone some of the other veterans on this roster. I think he could be a fun preseason guy to watch, but I don't think will necessarily be a guy that the Lions will keep around. You have Brian Hudson, the center from Louisville, the 3rd undrafted rookie free agent center that I just don't think will beat out either of the other 2, nor obviously the depth that's already on the roster as of right now. You have TJ Smith, who is not on here, is not a rookie, but is at rookie minicamp. Probably won't make the roster. Josh Landry, the defensive tackle from Missouri, I don't think will necessarily make the roster. Kind of a big run-stopping nose tackle, but they have a good number of those that they're already working on developing. Deron Gilbert from Northern Illinois, the linebacker/safety hybrid, put up some good numbers there at Northern Illinois, but I don't think will necessarily make the roster either. Lauren Strickland had a couple of big plays at Ball State, but I don't think will make the roster at safety. Neither will Shellen Garnes, the safety from Wake Forest, who again I believe had 1 interception, but probably won't make the roster. And that's kind of it. That is every single rookie that the Detroit Lions have brought in for rookie minicamp, every single rookie that has signed a contract, and where I think every single rookie will potentially play. So let me know down in the comments below, of course, if you agree or disagree with any of them, if you're higher or lower on some of the undrafted rookie free agents than I am. And very curious you guys have to say and what you guys think. With all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about these rookies, how you feel about their roster spots, and whether or not you think they will make the roster for 2024. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.